Good evening to you. Thank you for your company. I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live on Saturday night. And breaking this evening, a bombshell story which could signal the start of the end of Keir Starmer's government. This weekend could see the Prime Minister attend his last ever Labour conference, because tonight the Prime Minister is facing questions over his tax situation. Sunday Times journalist Gabriel Pogrund and tax expert Dan Needle have teased what sounds like to me a massive story in which they claim the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, avoided paying inheritance tax when he gave land to his parents. All right, for some, eh? Now they say Number 10 is yet to respond to these allegations, but GB News has approached Downing Street for comment too. Whilst that's coming, all the detail is going to be coming imminently over the next 2 hours. Stick with us throughout the night for what we hope will be further information on whether indeed Keir Starmer did avoid inheritance tax. And this comes, by the way, on the eve of the Labour Party conference kicking off tonight on Sunday. We're expecting more details to leak out very shortly, so stick around. But this comes, of course, doesn't it, after his former deputy, Angela Rayner, was forced to resign over her own tax affairs. So, do we need to call a taxi for Sir Keir Starmer out of Downing Street? Does he need to do one back to his constituency in North London? Because are we about to witness, maybe once and for all, his downfall? Let me know your thoughts tonight by visiting gbnews.com/your say. Joining me in Washington tonight is my panel, the political analyst Eric Ham and the deputy US editor at the Daily Telegraph, Connor Stringer. Good evening, chaps. Thank you for your company on what could be a bombshell night in British politics. Connor, I'll start with you as the Brit on the panel. We're waiting for more detail. We think it will come, I think, around 1 a.m. potentially. But it's being teased tonight from the journalists at the Sunday Times that this is a bombshell tax scandal which could bring down Keir Starmer. Your thoughts?
Well, it doesn't sound very good on the surface, does it, Ben? For Starmer, this has been a turbulent couple of weeks. All obviously kicked off and started with Peter Mandelson, the ambassador here, who was sacked and told to pack his bags after his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein were exposed. Following that, Morgan McSweeney was put under the microscope as well. And now we have potential allegations that Sir Keir Starmer may have used a tax loophole, something that Angela Rayner obviously was sacked for not so long ago, to potentially hand over land to his parents. Of course, inheritance tax has been at the forefront of the criticism he's faced, particularly from farmers. Many of them I know are your viewers. So this won't go down very well. Let's see the details and see where it goes.
Such a good point, isn't it? The amount of farming estates all across the country now. Farmers. One farmer killed himself because he was so concerned about the inheritance tax raid. Look, we don't know what's going on with the detail with this Keir Starmer story, but if it is the case that he's dodged inheritance tax, maybe legally, maybe not, there's still a moral argument there. I don't think farmers particularly will be very happy about it. And of course, Connor, this isn't the first scandal. You had the Lord Ali wardrobe, you've had all sorts. And it seems to me like, I said to Alex Armstrong, I don't want to compare him to Keith Vance, but he is Teflon, it seems. Could this bring him down?
I think, look, let's see the details and see what he knew and the timeline of when this happens. But you're right, it's not been a very scandal-free couple of months for him, has it?
Yeah, indeed. Eric, welcome along. Thank you for your company after sparring with you many times down the line between the UK and Washington, DC. What's your take on this? As an American, does it seem like Keir Starmer is on the ropes generally, not just on this breaking story tonight, but his performance generally as a Prime Minister?
Well, I think if we take into account and we look at this from a US-UK relationship, what we are seeing here is President Donald Trump actually does have a very positive relationship with the Prime Minister.
That's what he wants you to think.
And, well, at least from the outset, that's what it looks like. And so I think President Donald Trump doesn't get along, I think, well with many leaders. And I think if you look at what took place, particularly at the UN this week, we see that the president is ready to go to war with many countries. But I think what we see, at least between the president and Prime Minister Keir Starmer, I think what we see is a relationship even the president himself continues to maintain is a special relationship. And so I think that holds some value, some weight, at least when we look at the relationship between the two countries.
Let me read you this bombshell tweet tonight from the Sunday Times Whitehall editor, political journalist of the year, of course, as well, Gabriel Pogrund, who tweeted, let me just find the tweet, here we go. Right, ready, viewers? Did Keir Starmer give land to his parents via a trust guaranteeing their estate of which he was a beneficiary so that he'd never pay inheritance tax on its eventual value? Legal experts tonight say yes. Curiously, number 10 will not answer, despite having a list of straightforward questions for weeks and Starmer retaining a leading KC following our original approach. We've done our detective work regardless. Read the Sunday Times tomorrow, so today on Sunday, to find out more. So just to reiterate, viewers, we don't have the full story yet. I think it will come within the next hour or so, and I think when that comes, we'll have a clearer idea of whether Keir Starmer will be facing even bigger pressure to resign. There was an interview as well, Connor, in the Sunday Times tomorrow that Keir Starmer's done. I'm not sure if you saw it, but he was basically talking about the need to take out Reform UK was more than just a Labour problem, and it kind of almost sounded like he was rallying the establishment to take out Nigel Farage.
Look, I think it's a sign of where he is and where the party is, and how wary they are of how well Reform are doing at the moment. They're obviously wary perhaps of the shift in the mindset of the electorate from where obviously 14 months ago Starmer was elected with a rather large majority. They're obviously trying to claw back some of that and try and find the ground that Reform, and particularly Nigel Farage, has struck with so well on immigration and the various other policies. It's going to be difficult for him. Can he do it, in the remaining months? I think it's going to be difficult. Of course, you have Andy Burnham on the sidelines, poking and prodding away there, looking to try and take centre stage. So let's see how long that lasts.
And Connor, last night we broke on the show, it was a Telegraph story, I think it was your colleagues back in London, Sadiq Khan, also being mooted in the race.
Look, this is what happens when you have, I think, when you get competitors like this, it's not a sign of confidence, is it, of someone who's got control and is comfortable with where they are in the party at the moment.
Eric, would you like to see Nigel Farage as Prime Minister? Would you look longingly across the Atlantic and see a Reform government and think, oh, that's good for our special relationship?
Look, I think any Prime Minister that I think can work very well with this president, I think is a boon for both countries.
So you think Trump is a good, you're a Democrat, of course. I mean, Trump is a good
I'm
people
actually
person.
an independent.
You're independent? Okay. I seem to remember you being quite left-leaning when we sparred.
I'm pretty sure you would think that.
Yeah, okay. Well, because you're saying I'm so right. Okay, Eric, great stuff. Let's speak to Lee Cohen, who's the former advisor on Britain to the US House of Representatives in Congress. Lee, good evening. What's your take on this brewing, I'm calling it a nuclear bomb, Lee, this brewing nuclear bomb which could be heading Keir Starmer's way? It could be the start of the end of his premiership, if indeed he has avoided inheritance tax. The question remains.
Well, Ben, thanks for having me on. If indeed this is true, then Keir Starmer will have well and truly earned his reputation for being two-tier Keir. I mean, he slams inheritance tax on British farmers while dodging them in his own estate. I mean, that's classical socialist hypocrisy from a leader who taxes thee but not me. This is just appalling, and it comes on the heels of Angela Rayner's tax shame. I mean, what a disgrace this Labour government is. What can any partner across the Atlantic think except that the government of the United Kingdom under Keir Starmer and Labour is a shambles?
I mean, Angela Rayner, of course, resigned in disgrace for pretty much the same reason. She's got access to 3 homes, and it was revealed that she dodged inheritance tax on one. So if it is sin tonight, Lee, that Keir Starmer did avoid inheritance tax, maybe legally, even if he did it legally, it's a question of morality, especially as Connor Stringer said, when you're stitching up farmers in such a way that he has. If that's found to be the case, do you think he will resign? Because, as I said to Connor, he's pretty much been Teflon so far. The Lord Ali situation, other scandals as well, he's kind of hung on.
Well, he's been Teflon, but his opinion polling is dismal and absolutely in the tank. I saw a headline today, I think it was in the Telegraph, that said he has unprecedented low ratings for a British Prime Minister.
Okay, and maybe it's better the devil you know, Lee. Who could you think of a replacement if Keir Starmer did decide to resign or get the boot? I mean, you've got Wes Streeting, Shabana Mahmood. What about Sadiq Khan? Would you be a fan of him?
Certainly not Sadiq Khan. A lot of my British friends are saying be careful what you wish for because, as you said, the devil you know, and some of the replacements could be worse. Ben, from my perspective, 2029 can't come too soon. And some of my friends are even saying that there could be some kind of economic meltdown where a change of government could come even sooner than then.
Okay, Lee, just finally, of course, you've got your ear on the ground in the UK and the United States. You worked in Congress. What would President Trump be thinking tonight, hearing this inheritance tax potential scandal brewing? Do you think he might be hoping Keir Starmer gets the boot?
Well, I don't know. It's difficult. It's enigmatic because, as we've said, President Trump and Keir Starmer, for all intents and purposes and to all appearances, have a very cordial relationship. And Trump really hasn't done a full frontal against Keir Starmer personally. He's certainly attacked the policies that have escalated, perhaps started before Labor took over, but have escalated under Keir Starmer. He's certainly brought those to light, the violations of free speech, which have only increased and gotten worse. So, I think President Trump will work with whoever is in power in the UK because he really prizes the special relationship, and he will work. Even with Sadiq Khan, he doesn't. Sadiq Khan's sins against President Trump and what he said have been so appalling and so just inappropriate for a little man like Sadiq Khan to take on. Arguably the most powerful man in the world. But even with that, Trump doesn't seek to penalize the UK or to strain the special relationship.